Okay, hi everyone, how are we doing? My name's Tom and I'll be just sharing some thoughts on today's passage, which is Revelation chapter 18 verses 11 to 24. And I'll be honest, I'm having a pretty mad few weeks in the run-up to kind of Christmas, and work has felt quite heavy the last few weeks. So I opened up my Bible the other day to have a read over the passage, see what God said to me, and just thought, wow, where do you even start? Where do you even start with this passage of God's judgment and the weeping and the mourning and the millstones in the sea? And I just thought, I'm not ready to look at this yet, so I put it aside for a moment and came back to it a few days later. And do you know what, actually, I've been really blessed by a few thoughts and a few things God has put on my heart reading this passage. So I want to share those with you this morning. Hopefully they're helpful for you, hopefully they bless you as well. Maybe you'll take some other things from it. But yeah, let's dive in, shall we? So the general passage is about the fall of Babylon. This whole chapter is talking about God bringing his judgment upon Babylon. And it's a very detailed account of the impact of that judgment. And I'm not going to get too up in the detail. I'm sure James Harding has got plenty to say on this passage. But me being me, I've got a few little thoughts that are probably a little bit surface level, but they meant something to me at the time. And hopefully, you can take something similar from them. And so the first one that I took from it is about this destruction of earthly treasures, and that how Babylon has spent so much time focusing on earthly things and building up its wealth, its power, its might, its skills, its knowledge, its wisdom, all those kind of things. And at the end time, it all counted for nothing. God brought a judgment. There was immorality, and God's judgment has come on this superpower of the day, and it's been destroyed. And I think people talk about this being applicable to all sorts of things. Not just Babylon at the time, but cultures, oppressive powers, all that sort of stuff now. And for me, it was a real kind of wake-up call of actually these last few weeks I've spent a lot of time focusing on earthly things. I've focused on my job, on trying to do well at that. I've focused on preparing for Christmas and making sure that plans work out. Our bathroom gets refitted, all these sorts of things. And they've consumed a lot of my time, a lot of my headspace. And I felt a real just perspective from this passage of actually the bottom line of these things is they don't, they're important, yes, but they're not the be all and end all. Ultimately our eyes should be on God. That should be where our focus is, and everything else will fall into place around that. He's at work in all things, and for me that was a real sort of wow. I've even put off recording this passage and having a read through the passage because I've not had the headspace for it, and that's totally the opposite of where my headspace should be, of where my focus should be. Is that my priority should be getting stuck into passages like this and seeing what God is speaking to me from them. And so for me, I felt a real kind of punch to the gut of like, oh wow, I need to work on my perspective. I need to sort that out. And the other thing that I just felt really poignant was this whole idea of God winning in the end. Babylon had power for however long. They'd been the superpower, the dominant nation with their immorality, with their oppression, with all that sort of stuff. And this passage is all about God bringing his judgment on it and destroying it. And at the end, it talks about the angel throwing the millstone into the sea to represent, the finality of that it's never coming back up from the bottom of there. And it talks about, the angels rejoicing in heaven as they see this destruction happening. And for me, that just felt really poignant, that God wins in the end. Whatever battle we're facing, whatever oppression, whatever challenges, whatever situation we're in, it is all temporary. God is the only constant. God is the only thing that lasts beyond the now, beyond our earthly sort of focus and struggles and battles. And again, for me, that was just a super encouraging thing to read, super encouraging thing to hear. That God will win in the end. Whatever your situation, whatever challenge you're facing, it will come to an end, and God will triumph. He will have his way in that situation, in that challenge, in that battle. You've just got to trust in him, and that's. You've got to just put your faith in him. And that for me, that was two things that came out of a passage that at first glance I was like, nope, don't know where to start. I'll come back to you later. And kind of just throughout the day, I felt God putting these thoughts into my mind. I came back to it, and that's, for me, two things that are really poignant where I am at the moment. And maybe for some of you guys where you are at the moment, just needing that reminder of perspective that, everything on earth is temporary, and God will win in the end. He will overcome your challenges, he will overcome your battles, he will overcome any oppression in your way. So I just pray that, over the next few days as you get into Christmas, and all the joy and potentially challenges that brings as well. I just pray that you would keep your eyes fixed on him, and that you would know the truth that he is in control of everything. But yeah, have a blessed week, have a blessed day, and hopefully I'll see you all soon.